Yo, what's going on, guys? This is going to be a video about how to win your lane. Information and like tips about maybe things you didn't know. Maybe you don't know what you're doing wrong, you're losing all the lanes. This video is then perfect for you. I'm just gonna go through like the basics, things you can do to win your lane, things you should look out for. So yeah, if you do want to know what's in the video, everything will be timestamped in the description. So just click on there if you want to go to a certain spot, or if you want to know what's in the video. If you did find the video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Also, if you want me to do a video on anything league related, please just let me know and I'll gladly do it on any subject that you desire. The first thing I'm going to be talking about is level advantage and using that to your favor. It's a pretty big thing in laning phase and just in league in general, especially bot lane. 2v2, level 2. If one side is level 2, the other side is level 1, it is extremely hard for the level 1 side to win. That's why you see a lot of bot laners just straight up walk away when they don't hit level 2 first, because you are gonna die. But as you can see in this clip here, I'm Jax versus Tryndamere. You can play this lane way more aggro by just walking up and pressing E level 1. But as you can see, I hit level 2 first because I am pushing way faster than Tryndamere is. I jump on the Tryndamere immediately, I pop my E so he can't even trade back, and he just lost half his health bar for it. And this is such a key point in League of Legends. If you do have the level advantage, make sure to use it. And it's the same the other way around. If you were the Tryndamere here, just walk away. It's not worth losing half your health bar to get the gold of like 1 minion or 2 minions. As long as you're getting the XP, you're fine. Just stay far away, stay safe, make sure you don't lose your entire health bar just because the other guy is like shoving a little bit faster than you. I would say the biggest like level advantages to watch out for is like the level 2 advantage, the level 3 advantage, and level 6 advantage. Because on those points you obviously learn an extra spell which your opponent doesn't have yet, and that's a massive advantage. And if you aren't sure if you are going to hit level 2 or level 3 first, just keep an eye out on the minions. Whoever kills the most minions first is always going to hit the level first. Keep in mind though, if you're running like TP versus Ignite, the person with T probably has a little bit more XP because they had more uptime in the lane, because they got there faster after recalling. The second point is going to be kind of like realizing what your champion is good at, what the enemy champion is good at, and what their cooldowns are. So for example, in this clip right here, I am Tristana versus Vex. If you didn't know already, Tristana is a pretty aggressive laner where you can kill people pretty early on by hard engaging on them, but Vex is a fear in her kit, so I can't really jump in on her until she uses a fear. And that's pretty much the matchup, and that's how you kind of have to evaluate every single matchup to figure out how you have to play it. So as you can see here, the Vex just feared the wave. That is a perfect cue for me to go in and all in her, because she has no way to fear me at the moment. If you are the Vex on the other side, you have to realize that, okay, I don't have my fear up, I have to be careful, she could jump on me now and punish me for not having the fear. And even though I don't get the kill there, shoving her out of lane level 2 is massive. Just to use TP there, she might miss some XP, which is also really good for me. If she stays, I can bully her even more, or maybe even threaten a kill. And that's kind of just how you have to play every matchup. Figure out what you can do to play around your own abilities, to play around the enemy abilities. It's also a big part of the cooldowns. For example, let's say you're playing into a LeBlanc and she dashes towards you. Okay, now she's pretty immobile for the next, like, I don't know, 10 seconds. This might be a good time for you to engage on her. Just simple stuff like that can actually make the change in your lane. You have to really capitalize on the enemy weaknesses and the downtime on their abilities. So in that clip, I pretty much played around the Vex's cooldown where she used her fear, so I go in. But you always have to keep an eye out on your own cooldowns. Is your ultimate ability even up? Is your dash up? Like if your mobility spells or your damage spells are not up, don't put yourself in a position where the enemy can like trade with you or even punish you, because you can't really do much back until your abilities are back up. So it works both ways. You have to play around the enemy cooldowns, but also your own cooldowns. The next point is going to be punishing enemies for trying to get CS, so the farm. This is the easiest to do if you're a ranged versus melee champion, for example Quinn into Renekton here. So every time this Renekton walks up, you should be punishing him for trying to get gold. Every time you should be hitting him, he should be losing health, to eventually to a point he has to back and lose more farm. Or maybe even he dies because he greets for like a couple minions. But this is massive. Never let your opponent farm for free, especially in a matchup where it's free to trade, for example Quinn here. It's so easy for me to poke him without him being able to do anything to me, so you really want to capitalize on that. And in the other side of this matchup, if you're the Renekton, you have to realize that your health bar is a resource. So it's like, do you really want to give your I don't know, like 50% of your health bar up to get 2 minions worth of gold? Probably not. It's better to just sit back, get the XP, and when you are strong enough to actually fight back, you fight back. For Renekton, that's mostly level 3, you get some chance to fight back, because you can actually dash onto the Quinn. But this is not a good matchup regardless. for the Renekton. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you lose. You can just sit back, get as much XP as you can so you don't fall behind in levels, get the gold where you can, try to not lose as much health. Also, when enemies are going for CS, they'll be standing still hitting the minion, because I mean you can't move while auto-attacking, you have to stand over. That's a perfect time for you to punish with your skill shots. For example, like an Ezreal Q, because they will be just standing still there autoing, then you can just hit him with whatever your champion has. This point I've talked about in another video, but it's pretty important in League of Legends, and it's about the bounties. It's really simple to just hold tab for a second and to check what bounty everyone has on them. If you didn't notice already, the more deaths you have without getting a kill, the less gold you are worth. And of course, the more kills you have without dying, the more gold you are worth, you get a bounty on you. So what do I mean with this? It means that once you have a certain amount of kills, you are actually worth more than just a kill. So you have to do a risk assessment in the lane and kind of decide like, okay, what I'm going for right now, is that even worth it? Like, let's say you are 4-0, your opponent is 0-4, and you could go for a risky dive to kill your opponent. That is absolutely not worth, because you just killed a laner that is worth not a full kill, because he already died 4 times, and you just gave him bounty on top of that. So don't really give the enemy a chance to get back into the game by giving away free bounties. Do risk assessment and see if what you're going for is actually worth it. Another thing that is really important in League of Legends is actually spending your money to get your upgrades, your power spikes. And what do I mean with this? Well, obviously if you kill your laner, you want to get as much from it as possible. If you can get turret plates or shove the lane out so you lose more CS, you of course want to do that. But let's say you've got a couple kills, you got a couple plates, you should be backing now to get your power spike items. Maybe you can get a full mythic, maybe you can get a full item, maybe you can get more than that, maybe you can get a good item that's very good into your lane opponent. You of course might have an XP advantage, which is great, but you still want to spend that money to have an even more bigger advantage in the lane. Especially because some champions are really item dependent, or not item dependent, but let's say you're playing like Ezreal, or maybe even a Jax. Sheen is such a good item on them, it makes them so much stronger in lane, because every empowered auto that they do, or like an Ezreal Q, will now proc Sheen damage. So it makes it so much easier to get like favorable trades or like to win your lane. This point might sound a little bit weird, but it's basically that you don't always need to win your lane. Like, you could be playing the weakest early game champion in the game. Obviously, you're not going to be expected to win your lane. Your goal is to scale up, get to the point where you're stronger, and then try to get the advantage, or then like close the game out. You kind of have to figure out what your champion is good at, what your strength is. Because some champions just have a really weak early game. Some champions are the opposite, where they have a really strong early game but kind of fall off late game. So on those champions you have to like close out the games earlier, or you'll be weaker late game. And that's just kind of how the matchup works for a lot of lanes. And you have to realize that. So let's say you were playing a scaling champion, you just have to try and minimize your losses in the lane. So that means try to not die to ganks, try to not lose as much health as possible so you can gain as much XP and gold as possible, try to not take bad trades, try to not lose XP. Like, sometimes you just have to minimize your losses to get to the point where you are actually strong. Not every lane you have to go 20-0 to win the game. On the topic of early and late game champions, there's also short trade champions and like long extended trade champions that they excel at. So what do I mean with that? You could be playing like a LeBlanc, who is great at doing burst damage, but once you've done your abilities, you don't really do much of anything. You're just sitting there auto-attacking, waiting for your abilities to get back up. So that's what you want to do pretty much. Dash forward, do your combo, dash back. Don't go for like long extended trades. No, wear your opponent down with burst until they're low enough to all in. Are you a champion that excels at like stronger trades? Okay, try and go for a long fight. Try to stick on them and like don't let them escape so you get a favorable trade. And you also have to look at the enemy. Are they better at short trades? Don't give them the opportunity to then go for these short trades, you know? If they are better at long trades, don't give them the opportunity to go for the long trades. Try to dash away when they're jumping on you. Just stuff like that you always have to keep in mind when you're playing your lane. Another thing I would like to mention is that you should not be too afraid to trade back. There's a lot of champions where once they do like their combo and they use their abilities, they don't actually have that much damage left. And you don't just want to run and do absolutely nothing back, because then you for sure lose the trade. And even a poor trade is better than like a terrible trade. So for example, maybe a Fizz jumps on you. Like, I don't know, like a level 3 Fizz, he uses W, Q, and E. He has no real damage left apart from his auto attacks and his W bleed. So now you kind of want to trade back. He also has no mobility, he can't really dodge your skill shots apart from just sidestepping. So you do want to make the trade like less bad if you are taking a bad trade, by doing as much damage in return as you can. Don't just run away and lose your health bar for free. Unless running away, unless stopping to use your abilities is gonna make you die. Like, let's say you actually do need to run, you for sure run. But if you can trade back safely, because you already used all his damage and you're not close to dying, for sure try and trade back. This is going to be the last point of this video, and it's mostly going to be about the junglers. The first thing I want to mention is don't be afraid to ask for help. You're not winning every lane, some lanes are rough. And there's nothing wrong with just being like, hey jungler, I need a gank. Maybe your laner doesn't have flash, and it's a good spot for the enemy jungler to get a gank in. Like, don't be afraid to communicate that, to actually get some help. Like, it might be what you need to actually win the lane from that point. But what I really want to talk about is tracking the enemy jungler. So kind of just trying to guess and figure out where certain junglers are at certain points of the game. Obviously ward as much as you can when you think there is someone around. Always just keep an eye out on the map. Is it like, could the jungler be here? If I go for a trade here, am I dead if the jungler is around? Maybe it's not even the jungler and it's like the bot lane or the support that's roaming to your lane. But mistakes like that, like dying to the jungler, or even like, let's say you go for a trade, you jump in as a Jax, that was your dash, now you get ganked, okay, your top laner just picked up that kill. Now you might be in a really rough spot when you could have just like maybe sat back and be like, okay, I don't know where the jungler is, I should not really play that aggro right now, I should hold my dash and maybe just play a little bit safe until I know where the jungler is. But again, this is also a little bit of a risk assessment. Like, maybe you can get a kill, or maybe you can get a 1v2 even, but you kind of have to like figure out that strength on your own. Are you strong enough to even win if the jungler shows up? If not, well, is it still worth going for? Are you guaranteed to get a kill? If not, then you should probably not go for it. Alright, that's pretty much it for this video. There's a lot more to talk about, like for example freezing your lane, but I feel like that's like a whole video on its own. So yeah, I'll maybe do a video on that, but thank you for watching. I hope to see you in the next video.